So hi, today the main topic is the measure in web client, also known as the web front-end engineers. The the reason why I chose this topic is because this measure thing is kind of really unique and unfamiliar term if you only study about the web front-end engineering part because um, I'm also a web front-end engineer, but this year I had time to learn about the business thing. And this business example, like lean startup, was hard. It was really highly related to the web front engineering part, but also web server engineer. But but this thing is kind of important but unique for the front end engineers, and so I also surprised about those kind of content. So it's better to explain those kind of thing to the people. First of all, a lot of startup, a lot of web tech company, they commonly use lean startup strategy. Oh, this concept is extra about business. So if you're a front engineer, you don't have to remember that. So lean startup is basically there's a two key factor of it. One is pivot, and two is the BML loop. Um, and this lean startup strategy is actually based. The foundation is from the customer development model. And the meaning of the customer development model is basically you don't know about customer. You don't know your idea, your product will be fit into market into some kind of specific market. So in that in the market there should be customer, right? And you don't know what's gonna happen. That if you don't know a lot of customer or a lot of user which is your product. So you have to think about customer. You have to think about customer to make your product. So that's called also customer development model. And based on that's the lean startup. The BML loop is the first of all, if you're trying to make MVP, um, there's gonna be some kind of the hypothesis. Example, if you look at the Facebook, they had go to profile if this person is single or not, or people can comment on the some kind of the post, or they can like, or they can use just kind of share button. Those kind of thing is what I believe is the the minimal but the compact feature. Based on that, you make MVP. So basically, you think there should be hypothesis that you think that customer like. So you choose the minimum of it, but the most important thing. So you choose whatever hypothesis, and based on that hypothesis, you build stuff. So that's for the minimum viable product, and after that, you do the measure. So making MVP is this called the build stuff. The next thing is measure, and this is key thing to the web client. So that's kind of related to our main topic, which is the measure in the web client. But why do we have to measure? Because you really don't know that the people will like your product. Based on your measure, you have to think about, well, did this kind of figure is that people like or don't like. You can just get rid of the original feature that people didn't like. So, and you can just make new feature that opposite of original feature that people didn't like. So that's gonna be of the learning. The BML just look means that you build something based on the hypothesis and you measure it If your customer like your feature on that, and you learn it. If there's something wrong with your product or something wrong with the feature, you do the pivot. That is gonna be switching your feature or just change another service, and you go back again, do the build stuff, and that's gonna be in a loop of it. But why this measure is important and related to the web client? Because front-end engineer, the front-end engineer role is if there's a web designer will give some kind of product design, and based on that you have to make it. After you make it, your product owner product manager will ask for this product logging system based on your feature. But why? Because this feature is we don't really, people or product owner or product manager don't know this feature will be chosen by the other people. And this logging system, this measure, is highly related to the design because you basically measure the feature that the product owner or product manager and the product designer make, and based on that you put the measure of it. So that's kind of because that's the feature, and you just have to measure if people like your feature or not. But the common question is how. As a web front-end engineer, this is really important to think about. How do we implement the measure stuff in the web front-end engineer web client part? And mostly we use the React library, right? React is a JavaScript library, and you can just use the React or whatever framework but to build the web, to do the measure stuff. The measure stuff is gonna really so how do we do it? Let me just try to write the code of it. Let's say export function use user log. So inside your hook, React hook, you will be write some kind of logic that some kind of API call or the use effect that store or pass the state to the provider. Why do we have to think about why do we have to write the provider? Actually, you don't have to really write the provider. You don't have to write whole component. For example, there is a page, the most highest component in your current website, but you don't have to really put the provider on this page because the goal is to put the measure of it. The measure could be your button, so you don't really put the provider here. You can just put the some kind of feature button with the provider. And yes, this is actually not the provider. This is just like wrapping the JX wrapper that clones this button and can pass this can pass whatever stuff. For example, if your button requires some kind of ref, or if your button requires, inside your button there's gonna be some kind of text on it. If you put it on here, the provider can notice because you're basically using React and there's some kind of feature that the clone or get the charts the properties. If you just try to wrap it, and you can just detect which property is gonna pass to the button. And this is kind of really huge because Example, if there's a button, but there's gonna be name of it. Button is called the like button. If you, and if you use some kind of React or some kind of provider, not a provider, just kind of the clone hook, you can read this to your child properties, and you can just extract this text and you can send into the logging system. And also, you can use the attribute, HTML attribute. You pass the attribute here, example, TTR data, and you can just wrap these some kind of string that indicates this button. Example, our current page is the Facebook post.com posts and whatever ID of the post, and inside the ID you can just use the like button, right? And an ID and some kind of like button and on click, and based on the attributes you can make your custom naming system, because the naming rather than looking at some kind of properties value to pass in the log system, the product manager, product owner can read this name to, and they can just guess this what's gonna be value like. Example, if you don't know these kind of properties, you don't know this is button or not. But if you say, if your data attributes of some kind of whatever feature calls the Facebook.com post.id and like the button and on click, and so product owner, product manager could guess that the user clicks the button with the on click handler, and the button is called the like button, and that is inside some kind of in the whatever ID in the post. So basically, if this naming or if this string pass into logging system, and if it is if the data is a lot, the product owner could guess this is the feature that user like, because basically you're sending the event based logging, the like button. But what if the users there's 100 users, and today there's gonna be what if there's 50 users here, and they press 40 like button. So that means that they really like this. They just try it, and if they just really repeat it means that people like this kind of feature. So you have to really maximize the kind of this button, or that we have to maximize the UX or whatever the feature related to this kind of like button, so people will like that product, that feature, and they will come visit again. And this could be this logging system can be passed by this kind of use log hook or whatever hook, and you can just use effect to extract the properties of the target children's, which is going to be feature, and the property just can only the map into target event button or component. And also the measure the logging is kind of the one of the part of the measure. Another thing to measure the user's behavior is A/B testing. A/B testing is there's a one feature, and there's the two design that two different UI UX design, but it's gonna be the foundation is same feature. But you really don't know that user really likes this kind of this design, so you have to put the A/B testing, and you have to put the log log. So based on that, you can just see which feature which design is going to be chosen by the other users. Example, if there's 100 users, but 50 are went to the A and 50 go to the B. And if there's more retention of it, that means that people like this gonna be vet B design or B feature. And A/B testing is one of it, but I think the logging system is also the important. So they are both important, but if there's the service that you just you didn't launch, I recommend using a logging system. After that, attach with the A/B testing if you're trying to maximize your the feature into better way. So it's a really thing about measure. For the platform, you can just use Google Analytics or the PostHub. I recommend really PostHub because they're very good. Their documents, the developer documents is readable and it's really easy to maintain, easy to abstract with your own code using PostHub. So this is it. Have a nice day. See you next time. Bye bye.